Oh, hi there. You there. This is Miss Graham. Figure since you're already here, I might as well catch you up on what I've been up to. I was thinking about how maybe we don't always have the materials that we want in order to make some of our art, but most of the projects that I like to do are actually things that we can do with just about anything. I have actually been looking for a few different things that I could use for an art project. Let me show you what I found. I found this lovely weird plant. This is my basil I keep in my kitchen. Cool wooden pencils that I can use. This weird thing. Don't know what that is. Light bulb. You're going to be doing a little scavenger hunt of your own. I want you to go through your house, find a few different objects, like 3 to 5, and try and see if you can find something a little peculiar, something strange that doesn't really go together, or things that maybe you think would just look really interesting next to one another. That's all I want you to do for right now. Go get that done. Once you have all your objects, here's what I want you to do. We're going to arrange them in what's called a still life. So a still life is a very specific type of artwork. What that is instead of doing like a portrait as we've done in the past, where we're drawing something that's very mobile, a person is always constantly moving, they don't sit still perfectly no matter how hard they try. A still life is going to be a drawing that we make of things that stay still, are objects. So objects arranged would be a still life, like my pencils, my plant, my light bulb. These things don't go anywhere. They're gonna stay exactly where I put them until I move them. So that's my still life. I'm going to arrange them how I think would be interesting first, and then I'll show you exactly how we're gonna get that done. So right now you can see my still life set up the way that I decided to have it. I didn't have any particular way of arranging it. I just set the objects up in a way that I thought looked kind of nice. You want to try and keep them sort of close together, so I thought building on top of things, stacking them, sitting them close by, bigger things in the back, smaller things in the front, that seemed to work out pretty good for me. Now, the next step that we're going to take is to draw this out. In order to do that, just like any other project we would do, we would make sure we're looking very carefully. When we're looking and observing and creating this, we can actually do some measuring to make sure that our work comes out closer to reality. And how we can do that is by using our fingers, pens, pencils, anything we're going to be using to draw our picture. And we can use these in order to break up first our objects into shapes. So I can see the shape right there of my flower pot. I see sort of a rectangular shape. The bottom, it's a more squared out shape. It tapers in. I can see that it goes in instead of straight up and down. See that? I can see the angle on my plant is actually kind of curved to the side. It's not straight up and down at all. It kind of goes off to the right a little bit. Same thing with my light bulb. I can see what direction my pencils are going. So just by looking carefully and using the objects I have, like a pen or a pencil, I can get an idea of what angles to draw all of my objects out in. When we go to see about sizes and shapes, that's going to be a little bit different. So I can use the end of my pen, and I'm going to show you real quickly here. I'm just going to kind of line it up, just like when you would squish somebody's head. Close one eye and squish them. I'm squishing the pot. Well, you can do just about the same thing by measuring. So I'm going to line up the top of my pen or pencil with the top of my object, and I'm going to take my thumb all the way to the bottom, line it up with the bottom of that pot. Do you see that? So now I've got an idea of how big that pot is. If I turn it sideways and I line up that same measurement, so I'm lining up my thumb so I can see, or I can line up the end right there. Do you see how much space there is between my thumb and that pot right now? That means that straight up and down, it is definitely taller than it is wider. Quite a bit, in fact. So I can look at that and tell myself about the size that my pot should be. I'm going to do the same thing with my plant, so I already know my pot is about, I can remeasure if I need to, yay big. So let me look at my plant next to that. Whoa. My plant is definitely taller than that. So let's actually see if I can remember that little spot. We'll reline it up. Oh my goodness, my plant is almost 2 pots taller. So that means I can remember how big other things are just by looking at that flower pot in the middle. That flower pot can tell me a whole lot about the rest of my picture. So when we're making our still lifes, we're going to start first with one major object. Using the measurements of that object, making sure that I get that object as close to real as I can, making sure it's taller than it is wider. I can then use that size to figure out how big everything else should be. And that's going to be crucial for you. So after we've gotten approximately all of the sizes, then I can go in and double check the angles of everything, measure things out to the very best of my ability, and I'm just going to keep on drawing. If you have time, you can absolutely color, you could paint. I don't want you to feel limited at all in your options. If you have the materials, please feel free to explore them. If you do not worry. There's so much wonderful stuff you can do with just simple things you can find at home. A pencil is an amazing tool to create art just as well as paint, just as well as food. You could use old coffee left over from your parents' morning. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do. And I'm going to be making another video about at-home art supplies later for you. So that's all from Miss Graham for the day. I hope you have a wonderful day, and you'll be seeing another video from me in just a little while.